Yeah, that was that one loss they had going up against OMG, was that we saw incredible team fight victories from WE. Might happen again.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting into Champions Select. WE up against RNG. The crowd is getting behind both of these two teams, and it's going to be a new one for both of them. Whoever wins here is going to be very happy at the end of the day.
And 100%, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Coach Hart behind RNG. So Hart, formerly of Samsung turned LGD, now following RNG through the finals, and it's now Coach Ohm from Team WE.
Now we take a look at some of these bands coming through. Jayce, Kennen, and Elise coming out from WE. While more junglers on the opposite side, RNG will take away Rengar, Malzahar, and Lulu towards the support position, while Elise coming out for WE.
That's a big takeaway from Mlxg, a prime pick that he's had, even gone towards first picking it. With how many junglers that have been banned, just Rengar and Elise. Looks like WE is trying to take him out of the game.
Yeah, 100%, but then that means that Uzi has the pick of the litter for the Karma. With both Malzahar and Lulu taken off the board, you have to assume that Karma has to come in this second rotation.
We'll take a look at this. Jarvan coming now, probably into the top lane. That's what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks of LPL. But as a priority pick, that's pretty crazy from RNG in game one.
There is also the option that if they don't go the Karma route and prioritize Ashe instead to control the bottom lane, that Ming could look for something like the Thresh, like the Leona.
You can tell that they've just been swapping it up since we've last seen them, because of course Jarvan going first pick. Maybe it can go towards a flex, maybe jungle. We haven't seen what they want to go towards the jungle just yet, but the fact that of course Jarvan being picked up and Thresh taken away from Ben is insane.
Early as well over to Ming, but making sure that he's comfortable in that lane with Uzi.
But what's terrifying here is that RNG are actively giving up the strongest 2v2 in Ashe Karma. I'm actually baffled by it. Uzi is one of those guys where he's like, no, I need to play the strongest pushing champion right now. There's no way I'm putting myself at a deficit. This could be that Uzi feels confident enough, like, give me the Varus, give me the Lucian, give me the Caitlyn. I no longer am dependent on just the Ashe Karma push.
And here's the thing, Karma is such a prime pick for WE because it's a flex pick. xiye's played it before, but it looks like it's not going to happen now. He's picking up the LeBlanc here.
In that mid lane as well, and man, xiye has not gotten his hands on that pick too often because it's banned away from him usually, but he'll get his hands on it this time around, along with that Ashe coming in. Another deny from Uzi. I'm just wondering, I feel like he must have something else in his back pocket. Usually he gets the early picks so often in their drafts.
I'm just so surprised. I thought going into game one for sure we were going to see really standard, very safe compositions. The teams would try to fill each other out. But instead, you know, yes, there's a lot of comfort picks, but there's also a lot of snowball potential. The fact that xiye is going for the LeBlanc when he had something like a Talia who has good blind matchups, or an Orianna even from blue side.
Yeah, definitely early game prime focus coming out of WE, which is a bit of a shift, bit of a different point. We've seen that a little bit from WE, but you know what? At least the most memorable part here is the Mystic being able to get Ashe for himself.
Yeah, looking to go hard. But on the opposite side, RNG did pick up Uzi's Caitlyn for himself, so we will have that in the first rotation before WE start taking hits at that champion pool. Meanwhile, RNG will take away that Zyra towards Ben, a massive pick for him, and WE removing Ryze from Xiaohu's playbook.
Some supports have opted not to go Karma into Thresh. In fact, Thresh has been the pick towards Karma.
Could also look for the likes of the Nami available to him as well, but either way, RNG are really sculpted out a kill lane. We know that Ming is high pressure, high aggressive support. He's going to look for those death sentences. He's going to look for the all-in. I'm really scared right now because Mlxg didn't get his Elise. He doesn't have the option of Lee Sin, but he could go towards that Ivern.
And RNG do take away the Kled that you were talking about there, Raz, and Karma will still be banned out here from WE, fearing the fact that it could go to Xiaohu in the mid lane.
Yeah, it is a bad matchup, so you don't want to take that risk saying, you know, Xiaohu hasn't played the Karma before, I'm going to take that, I'm going to take that risk.
You just want your LeBlanc to be powerful. You don't want to have that power absorbed by just a defensive Lulu Karma in the mid lane. Hello, Pawn.
Get that one out of here. And back over to RNG, using up all their time on their fourth pick in this rotation. See what's going to be for them. They are looking for a mid laner and a jungler. It's going to be the Galio lock-in. The crowd like that one. I like it as well. And Xiaohu, we've seen it from him before. We said coming into this day, there's a good chance he'll look towards it. That being said, it's been played 5 times and only won once. However, Xiaohu, if there's anyone who's going to make it work, it is him.
So like you were saying, Xiaohu has played it before. It's been played all throughout the LPL playoffs. It is legal because it was open for 2 weeks due to Chinese New Year.
Ben just playing with the crowd a little.
Is he?
I hope so. But WE have definitely locked in their Fizz. We didn't speak about it, but it will go over to 957 into that top lane. And he thinks he's probably facing down this Jarvan. Of course, it is still a flex at this point in time, but Fizz has still been a massive powerhouse pick over the last couple of weeks. 74% win rate on that champion. And WE will finish off their draft with a Braum pick.
All right, he was hovering the Tom Kench. It would have been a little better because, of course, the pick potential coming out of Thresh would have been absorbed. He's going to pick the Braum, make these team fights a little bit easier for themselves.
It also dissuades Mlxg from looking towards Gragas as a jungler, just because of how you can interact with that cast and to deny it. Again, he still has the likes of Rumble. He has played that before.
There it goes.
And here's the thing about WE's composition. Even just adding the skirmish potential of the Braum in the bottom side with Elise and Ashe, that bot side could be fire early on in this game.
And you know, we come into this champion select and we're saying, you know, Mlxg, he's this player, man, they just swapped that one up as well, that he's a facilitator, you know, he's not a carry, but if this swap actually comes through, you put Letme onto that Rumble and then have the Jarvan in the jungle, that just changes things a little bit.
Yeah, that's a big change. Jarvan being the flex here, that is definitely why it was the first pick for them.
This is such a quintessential Chinese aggressive composition. When Jarvan was in the jungle, that was like the heyday of Chinese League of Legends because they were so good at fighting around and sculpting terrain in these 5v5s. Ah, this is crazy. This is such a throwback in game one.
I'm sorry, Frustrated. Did I hear you just say Chinese aggression?
I said
that
it.
You never want to say? Record it, folks. Put it in the soundbite. We got it from Frustrated in game one.
Get it in there.
RNG are on the field. They are the quintessential Chinese aggressive team. Team WE, though, if you've never seen them play, get ready, because they can be pretty weird.
Oh, yeah. And Raz, talk to me about WE's composition, because you're backing these guys. Why are they good?
Well, this is going to be fun. Their bottom lane is actually really high impact, really aggressive, and so this could maybe patch up these early game aggressive points that we've kind of thought that RNG was going to have over them. So once the game goes on, if they get that early game snowball and advantage, maybe they can start to solidify it because they are a very slow-paced, strong team.
My only concern with Team WE is just how much magic damage they have riddled through this composition. They're going to be really dependent on Mystic in the late game to turn up and be that hard carry Ashe. So I think all eyes really need to be on there and how they can slow the game down to get him to that point.
On the opposite side, you have the quintessential magic tank, Galio, facing them down in the mid lane. So talk about neutralizing a lot of that composition. Still came out of complete left field. Wasn't even hovering anything, but immediately comes out of the Galio. And you can see the full compositions for WE and RNG.
And this is what's RNG going into this composition. They must have planned this out. When they hit level 6, they want to look to defend this bottom side because that is a big primary focus for them going into game one.
And here we go. We're getting onto the rift for the first game of this best of 5 here in Nanjing, China. So many eyes on these players to perform here today. WE against RNG.
A lot of fans of RNG in particular, at least on our side of the stadium, makes sense. Uzi's on the field. Let's talk a little bit about Galio, because I know the global audience hasn't seen a ton of him. Did appear this morning at MSI, I believe a top lane Galio. We've seen it in the LPL, played in all 3 positions, support, mid, and top lane. Xiaohu, typically the last time he played it, he did go for a tanky-oriented Galio. What I like about the matchup into LeBlanc specifically is that the core build is usually Roa into Abyssal, and Abyssal is one of the most cost-efficient items for pretty much only Galio. Like, it's not cost-efficient on anyone else because it assists him with his wave clear and his damage, as well as making him tankier against her burst.
You know what the crowd was saying? Fight, fight, fight. You know, the last time I heard that was in Wembley. This crowd is bloodthirsty, and there's a lot of them. They want them to get in there. And already 957 is chasing down Letme, trying to get these early trades in. But it is very important. As soon as Rumble steps up, he wants to get down some of those auto attacks and see if he can get those early procs before level 3.
And in the early point of the game, you would expect Letme, Rumble to really get the shove in, really start to harass through the wave into the Fizz. Oh, Xiaohu getting harassed.
Damage.
It's actually interesting that Galio's getting bullied around so much right now. It's good that xiye is being aggressive with him, as there's that early push advantage that you were talking about, Raz, with Rumble there.
Yeah, and here's the real worry, though. look at where Condi is at this point in the game. He can go topside. Oh, come on, Mlxg.
Mlxg, household name, international titles under his belt, getting blasted by Kuros.
And that's the worry about Jarvan jungle. The reason why he isn't getting played so often in the jungle is simply because he just gets demolished by these camps.
And the fact that a player like Mlxg can have stage fright like this just really does say something.
But now it's Condi overextended behind Letme. He's going in.
He's going to turn this one around. Letme's gone into his passive. He's going to actually try and trade off against 957, but he just needs to disengage as soon as Condi arrives. He's making this 1v2 work for a second.
He's got
him. The Cocoon lands, follows after with a Neurotoxin, and Condi just trading off, comes in for the Urchin Strike, and it's First Blood to Condi.
That's what you don't want, and that was the worry there. Rumble looking to push in constantly, really sets up that gank. Condi knows it, and Rumble can't do anything to stop it.
The only breath of fresh air for Letme is the fact that the first blood gold didn't go onto the Fizz. So I find it interesting. It looked like they were trying to hand it over into 957. I know that we've had our questions about his recent performance, but the rest of the LPL top laners do look very highly on 957.
There's a lot of respect towards him, and also the fact that he's moved towards the Fizz in the finals is also very interesting, because traditionally he has been that tank top player and pretty much nothing else other than that. So Letme is the one you look towards picking those carries like this Rumble we'll see him on right now, but the fact that 957 has that lane advantage, we'll see what he can do with it.
Yeah, and what's fun about 957 is that his strengths are much different than most LPL top laners in that his flank TPs are just phenomenal. And so maybe his laning isn't the most star-studded, but he can get past that point.
Oh, the hook lands onto Mystic. It's not going to turn into anything other than harass there for Uzi. But Ming just flexing his muscles on this early rotation pick.
And you really have to look at this because Condi was just looking towards it. Now he's obviously taking his scrub camp right now, but he was looking to get into this bottom lane and if the skirmish did go forward.
And there's absolutely no fear from RNG's bot lane right now. You'd think that Ming could take a step back, he could offer that dark passage for Uzi, still allow his AD carry to be aggressive, try to force for that farm, but instead he's on the front line with Uzi, trying to cause havoc for Mystic and Ben.
Meanwhile, in that mid lane, after that pretty bad start for Xiaohu and just that trade, he has started to push in these waves, and that is one of the strengths of Galio in lane, is he has crazy pushing potential with the Winds of War.
And Xiaohu's entire point with this composition and him being on Galio into the LeBlanc is just a nullifier. We said it a little bit earlier on, but if xiye gets free in the mid lane, he will look towards the bot side, he will look towards top side, and he'll just look to roam.
And speaking of Xiaohu's Galio, we do need to keep an eye on kind of what skills he's maxing. The last time he played Galio, he was actually a split max between his W and his E for some extra early damage reduction.
It really does make sense into some of these bursty matchups, but I honestly don't think Xiaohu cares that much, because I don't think xiye even broke his magic shield, so he's good for now. He did get that first back under his belt, and it will be that normal magic mantle again helping out for that cause. Meanwhile, Condi looking towards his bot lane gang.
But along came a spider. Who's it gonna be?
It has to be Ming.
Is it gonna be anybody?
Condi's being very patient with it.
Extremely patient. He's still there. He's still waiting in the shadows.
I mean, this is the thing about Elise and Braum. If Braum can find a correct minion to leapfrog to.
The Cocoon doesn't land, neither does the Winter's Bite. Condi will back it on up, and well played to the bottom lane of RNG. Played it real patient.
Yeah, he was just waiting up until Ming or Uzi looked to put their trinket into the bush, but he missed out. So that was great from Ming, great from Uzi to be able to recognize that that gank was happening.
And that's kind of the one window that Braum really has in this lane until Ashe gets her arrow. You know, he's there to empower the enemy jungler. Braum's not about the 2v2, he's about the 3v3, and he works so well with Elise.
Still, it's looking to farm it towards that level 6, especially for Jarvan here. Just disrupting some of those backs out from RNG, and that's actually going to say to Uzi, I'm going to stick around for a little bit, give you a couple pot shots and actually wait for this wave. Does have 60 farm right now, so it does net him the BF sword if he wants it. Probably a couple potions as well.
Why not some boots on top of it?
Why not, right? Maybe I'll go for one potion and boots, but here's Condi going for a second round of buffs as well. Should be hitting level 6 off this.
Here's what's really smart about RNG's composition, because of course the Galio being in the mid lane means he has access towards that bottom lane to use his ulti if anything does go wrong. You can see how many wards that is being placed down by Mlxg bot side, and he's just roaming around that area. He's able to safely just level up till 5 once he hits level 6, that counter gank is incredibly powerful. So even though WE have that very clear go sign on the bot side of the map, RNG have the exact answers to stop it, so they might have to pivot towards the top side.
And exactly, you're seeing that pivot that Ryze is talking about now is Condi's, pushing into that top side jungle, contesting the red, while Mlxg slips underneath onto Vision. So they have information. It's now what can Condi grab on top of this?
Trying to accelerate that early game. Is skulking within the enemy jungle. Mlxg, his recall's been stopped. Xiaohu, putting a bit of pain down onto xiye as he's making his way back into that mid lane, but he is being walked out by the chains. We'll carry on moving into this mid, but he has picked up the Spectre's cow, so he's not in bad shape at all. Plus, he has a TP advantage over xiye at this point in time. Condi trying to make this happen, but xiye is harassing him out, jumping back, waiting for Xiaohu to go for this minion, but he's not going to melee it.
And what's good about this is that Letme's actually playing incredibly safe top lane. He knows that his wave is shoved in, and he knows that Fizz is being able to hold this near his tower. He can't push up top yet, and with how much time Jarvan has spent into the bottom side of the map, he's playing it way far back, and he's putting the proper wards, so if Condi goes top, and Condi's been sitting top for a long time, so he's playing a safe con game, and what is Uzi doing here?
They're actually going to swap it. So we've seen a couple of LPL teams do this. Xiaohu was the team that really started it. It's kind of like, bot lane's not really working out for you, your top lane's suffering, let's mix it up. They do have the Rumble ult to play with, and he's also got Jarvan coming in behind him.
They're going to try and make it work. The fish is landed. Condi coming in from the bot side as well, but Uzi's here for the counter gank. Why is there a Caitlyn in my lane? Here comes the TP out from RNG, promptly cancelled. And that play will fizzle out, but Condi's still making around, and she is also here. Mlxg coming into the fight. He just have a level 6 cocoon. Doesn't quite land as Letme flashes away. xiye jumping back on the distortion pad. And that will be the end of the gank.
This is incredibly awkward, but Thresh is starting to make the long roam towards the top side, so you might even see a siege start up.
Likewise, Letme does have teleport as well as the equalizer now, so he can get back involved with this fight, but unfortunately they don't really have the creep wave.
957 doing everything he can to just try and clear out these waves, but he's just a Fizz. Now he's got Condi coming up there to assist him. Bottom tower being chipped away from, but barely by Mystic. Doesn't have eyes on mid or top lane right now.
And with Letme having ulti, he can actually just clear the bot side if Ashe decided to stick to it, but she's backing and she's going to be looking to counteract that play top side.
So ultimately, RNG try to grab the reins for tempo. Kind of a misplaced play. They didn't quite have all of their ducks in a row. Didn't have the creep wave. Wasn't timed well with Rumble's ultimate. He didn't have the health to participate, but while we're here, we might as well continue to drive pressure and force Mystic to rotate.
Has hit level 6 himself though, so could look for these picks, but Ming and Uzi just shoving this one in. Last little auto attack for the cannon kill.
And even though it didn't break into a massive, team fight top lane, a tower didn't drop down, it did open up a CS discrepancy between the 80 carries, so 82 to 96. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's over time. Uzi will take these tiny micro advantages and he stretches them out to, half an item, a full item lead.
Especially when he's on Caitlyn. So often it's just like, all right, Uzi, we'll see you at 20 minutes when you're on 2 items, and then he'll join the team. But for now, he is just trying to get to that point. Has that BF sword and a Berserk Ryze under his belt.
And the result of all of this is that Letme starts to get safe farm under his belt because he hasn't been able to look to push out without the fear of Condi looming over him. So now he's just able to pick up the waves that have been getting pushed out by Ashe. So RNG, they played this smart with their top laner in mind.
957 just chilling in the bot side, just moving through this jungle. Got another rotation from Ben and Mystic. But Uzi and Ming were beating them to the punch. You can see that resulting in that bot lane tower damage.
Do need to be a bit careful, which is why Ming suddenly pulling back. It's because they don't have eyes on the mid laner, so he's offering that dark passage.
Yeah, he's good to go. He can be a little bit more aggressive as long as Ming plays back. There's these small micro advantages you were just talking about, but now it's converting those into objectives.
And that's the thing here. You might see WE get a little bit, they might push a little bit too forward. They might be feeling a little frustrated with how RNG have been able to get these early leads for themselves.
I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the day. There's a lot of rookies on the stage right now. You look at the likes of Ming, you look at Letme. Most of in fact, all of Team WE's lineup have never been to a final, shake out those jitters. You know, a little bit slow on the rotation, maybe a little bit cautious that they don't want to immediately pull the trigger, go into a bloodbath. But as this series progresses, they'll start to find their groove and find these tendencies that made us love them so much.
That is true. That being said, Ming, I've heard he's pretty much cool as a cucumber. Now, not the same brand as Mlxg cool as a cucumber, but he definitely will keep his team on track. And so far, has played immaculately down there with Uzi. As Condi is just jumping into this jungle, taking away some of these wards, and also setting up for this first dragon of the game, which will be an Ocean Dragon.
It's also playing around this arrow. Mystic hasn't thrown one yet, but he does have the opportunity to throw one for a dive.
Clearing out that ward once more, so RNG were one step ahead. But WE, they have these members here for this Drake.
Yeah, this seems like it's going to be a free dragon for WE. It's within RNG's best interest to leave this one be, but once they start to stack up, they have to start to play ball.
My only concern is yes, it's an Ocean Dragon, and so RNG, like you said, Raz, they're not afraid to let that one go. They like the Infernal, they want to fight for that. But their composition is also crafted and built to fight around dragons. They have the Equalizer, they have the Jarvan, the Galio, the box. And so even though the Ocean Dragon wasn't really the objective that they wanted that fight.
Take a look at some of these items as well. Xiye has the makings of his Gunblade, but look towards the bottom lane. Arrow lands right onto Uzi, and all the flashes come in. An instant kill for WE, but the response now from the rest of RNG's members will claim Ben's life. It's a 1-for-1, 80 carry for support, but here comes the Equalizer. They've won. Mystic dead. Ming with a flash, and is not predicting that flash that comes in from Mystic. He gets away with his life.
That was a smart play from WE to look for that dive, but equally smart from RNG to be able to pull that one back.
And now it's kind of tempo advantage for RNG. They've got the creep wave. TP.
Oh, WE are boxing in. RNG, here comes xiye. This is going to be a bloodbath right now. Great death sentence lands onto Mystic. Xiaohu, the point blank hero's entrance, but it's not going to do anything for his allies. And now he's slowly being dragged in. Mlxg, what is this? My life for Aya. He jumps in, trades his life for his mid laner. 3 kills to WE.
Able to open the game up. They were getting a little impatient, but of course, once they pull them forward, they take the fight. WE, 5 kills for themselves.
And all the jitters seem gone. So where was that tempered aggression? Now suddenly everything explodes. Check out this Galio ultimate. He does it on top of Letme being overheat, I believe. And so Letme's really not doing any damage for the duration of having that safety net of the Galio ultimate. Just so poorly timed from RNG. Very scattered team fight.
Yeah, RNG just did not expect the fight to happen. WE had already had xiye roaming in from the mid lane. The damage had already been done, so RNG definitely answers slowly. But that just means not only do they lose the fight, TPs across the board here.
What an incredible punish from Team WE. Spoke about them being this 35-minute team, but if they get advantages in the early game, we've seen what they can do with it. We've seen some very early finishes from this team.
Which is why RNG need to be so aggressive in this window because of those teleports. But hold on.
The action isn't stopping in this bottom lane. Uzi getting followed down by Mystic, but he's turning it around. Here comes Xiaohu and Mlxg. xiye jumping in to the fray, but it's not going to result in too much. But the tower, the point of contention for RNG.
So the reason why RNG had to put pedal to the metal, force that tower down in that window, is because check out what Fizz is doing up into the top lane. Without the teleports, whoever has push priority there has map control. And Fizz is always going to have the kill pressure on Rumble at this point, so he's going to shove that lane in and he's going to control Letme and start disappearing, cheating down to the bottom side of the map. Rumble wouldn't be able to follow him safely. So RNG, we can't fight on the bottom side. They'll be able to beat us with their top laner because the teleports are down. We have to just throw everything in the kitchen sink bot and take that tower.
WE setting for another play in the bottom lane. And this time it's onto the tower. There's no Uzi and there's no Ming. They did make their way to the top side. So WE take the tower, but arguably still behind on tempo because Uzi and Ming are at the top side.
Yeah, but it's going to be WE constantly with the advantage from this point forward. They're actually going to be pushing this one in.
It's an Elise. You always forget that steroid on W as well as the Spiderlings. She is so good at contesting inner tower.
Mlxg jumping in here as Enter will clear out those minions. Taking a rocket launcher to do the laundry pretty much, but it gets the job done. 5 kills to 1, still WE pushing their advantage. All of a sudden, tempo is definitely on their side.
And here are the 2 options available for WE. It looks like they're going to be taking option number 1 because they're going for this fight.
Oh, they're going to listen to the crowd here, Raz, as they go for the fight. Xiye getting dragged in, Cataclysm comes down, but Xiye's still alive. Xiaohu following after Mystic and Ben, but they'll make it out alive.
All right, they didn't have to do that. They had the option of just playing it back and looking for the next dragon, or just going topside. Next dragon is going to be coming up in 1 minute and 41 seconds. They need to get their proper backs off. So they thought they had the opportunity. They were playing it cute, but they fall out. No one dies at the very least.
Yeah, 100%. Check out the itemization from Xiye. He just now purchased his Gunblade. He only had the components before that fight. So like you said, Raz, definitely just thinking he could get a cute little pick off. Doesn't end up that direction, but they're in a great spot for this Infernal Dragon spawning in 1 minute 17. Completed Blade of the Rune King, Gunblade online, Trinity Force on Fizz.
And you mentioned that RNG, they want to be able to get these fights going for themselves at some point. It's just difficult now with how much bottom side has been pushed in, that there's just, with WE getting so much vision control and the pick potential that they have, RNG has no openings.
And that's the thing. That's why the Ocean Dragon fight was so important that RNG couldn't get it. Because now they're in this situation where everything went wrong bottom. They wanted to fight around that dragon so they could snowball into a better position for the Infernal. Now at this Infernal, they're down in itemization. They need the most beautifully crafted team fight to try to dig up from this gold deficit and these items deficits.
I mean, hey, they have mechanics. This is RNG we're talking about. 957 on this Fizz, typically that tank player, but 1-0-2 in this game so far. Is in a great place for himself, has a pretty hefty minion wave advantage over Letme. And as Ben clears up this mid lane with Mystic, we are looking towards this dragon in 14 seconds. RNG push up though. Hook lands onto Condi, and Mlxg comes in as well, but Ben was there, ready and able. Xiaohu jumps in with a hero's entrance, arrow goes wide. Ben getting chased down, he's under attack from the rest of the team. Massive equalizer coming down onto WE. Ben's gonna eat it as Letme comes in there, finds 1, finds 2. Condi goes down, and Uzi untouched as he moves onto xiye. He's gonna be locked up, headshot to the face, and here comes Mystic. Nothing that he can do. 957 gonna fall. RNG, this is the miracle fight they were looking for. But Mystic with a kite, he's turning it around onto Xiaohu, but it's just a little too late at the end. But it's a 2-for-4 trade.
It started with Ming's hook, but it ended with just Letme demolishing them with that equalizer. A triple kill coming out of him, and suddenly RNG takes this game back.
And that's exactly how that composition works. We now see what RNG had in mind in stacking these ultimates. We said it had to be perfectly sculpted and engineered, and it was. Jarvan ult creates the bucket, and Rumble's equalizer just dunks on Team WE.
RNG was able to get there first, so that was all the more important. And you see the TP coming in from Rumble.
And then it's also just the great equalizer on top of the Jarvan ult, and check out Uzi's positioning. RNG do such a phenomenal job using this choke point to deny xiye and Fizz entrance into the back line. Eventually 957 will get over. You can see that he pops Uzi, but it's all for naught. The damage has already been done. They've already lost the team fight.
He was pretty much trading his life at that point. Everyone is back, ready to go and look for another fight. RNG in the exact same area.
Difference though is that RNG are still sitting on multiple components of itemization. Like you check out Uzi's items, he still doesn't have that big completed Infinity Edge that he's looking for. So they still need to be careful here.
Yeah, WE is just going to clear that massive top lane, the wave up top, which means that RNG is going to be able to get the pickings of this dragon.
Oh man, xiye over this wall. He's going to jump in, try and find a steal, but Mlxg has the smite, and he'll find that one. First Infernal over to RNG. They're much happier with that than the Ocean.
Now it's really impressive for RNG to pick this game back up. And great timing, knowing that that massive wave was hitting topside, so 957 doesn't have TP, and if WE tried to fight that, then that'd just be a massive error, 4v5 team fight.
But at this point, it's still going to be relatively difficult to break the mid lane tower. They have the Caitlyn, they don't have the Ashe. They can't just throw an arrow from Fog of War, see what they catch, and try to snowball off of it. It's really about controlling and manipulating those side lanes, which means you need to look at Xiaohu and Letme and how they open up Team W's advantages to start chipping away at these structures.
That's what RNG are doing right now. Just taking little pot shots at this outer tower and mid lane. xiye moving down here for the farm as well. And with no dragon being on the table, RNG are pretty happy to go back to the base with their coppers lined with gold, ready to buy some items. Just go back to the housekeeping, take away these blue buffs for themselves.
Thankfully for RNG here, because WE has the option of going for a 1-3-1 with the LeBlanc and sideways with her TP, they have an answer. Since Galio also brought in the TP of his own, and he's going to be able to definitely push her out with just a pure tank itemization that he's had here.
Yeah, 100%. And then you also look at 957 on the Fizz. He's still incredibly dangerous in certain lane assignments, especially across from Letme at this point. Rumble will struggle across from him. Look at this. Just get off my tower. This is mine for free. So this is one of the problems of having that Caitlyn as your blueprint for breaking mid-tower. RNG are starting to stall out a bit, and that's great for W.
Though it will start to ramp up again when Uzi does hit that 2-item power spike, but we are a bit of gold off of that, as you can see. RNG are funneling the farm into Uzi right now. Meanwhile, Xiaohu looking for this invade, and Uzi's going to get red buff as well.
And just hitting off of your earlier point, Frost, because now that Fizz is able to just constantly push and take advantage topside, WE have said, okay, we've lost that team fight, let's play it back, go back to our main strength in our composition, and now that Fizz is taking full control topside, they're starting to take full, just clear out that topside vision in the Baron, and so RNG have a bit of a problem here.
Yeah, now it's the vision denial game, which is what the Observer's showing us. Luckily for RNG, they have a key ward that they can see WE cheating that river, but that's what they want the
Meanwhile,
pick.
mid lane, all the ultimates have landed right on top of Ming, but Mlxg's going to jump in there, combo with that, with the Galio's heroic entrance, and he's looking for kills. Letme comes in, finds one, turns onto a bed, but he's so incredibly low himself. Xiye trades his life for that one, but he's away. The Deceiver definitely deceived me on that one. 2 for 3 trade, favor of WE.
It may have been in favor of WE, but RNG are still alive. They were able to win the back half of that fight, so they take that tower just to wrap it all up.
And again, finally, they get the team fight. They can't pull Team WE apart playing the macro game, playing the side lanes, but they can do it at the 5v5. This was a pick that Team WE wanted, but they couldn't get the target and immediately blow someone up. A phenomenal ultimate from Xiaohu keeps RNG alive long enough. And again, check out Uzi on the back line. No one is touching him. You have a Fizz and you have a LeBlanc. That's almost unacceptable.
Man. That play from Xiaohu, just straight up the ultimate into a 4-man taunt, was so incredibly huge for RNG. And as you said, Uzi, no one can even touch him. And they have a LeBlanc and a Fizz. The fact that we're saying that in the game is pretty much crazy in itself, but Uzi is making it work, and Uzi really wants this championship title.
Yeah, he does. And you look across from him in Mystic, that last team fight that he's had, you can see the challenges he has against this composition. Jarvan ulti on top of him, he has to deal with Letme's constant burning on the Rumble pick. So he thankfully has Flash now, because in the later team fights, he has to use it.
I love that you bring up the Jarvan into Ashe interaction. I feel like that's one of the big reasons why we've really seen the reemergence of Jarvan. Yes, there's been some changes. Yes, he's gotten some buffs, but Ashe is so big in the current ecosystem, and nothing really ruins her day like someone who just rushes to that backline and drops on top of her.
I absolutely love the combo with Galio's ultimate as well. So often you just have to use it as a defensive ultimate. Teams are trying to figure out how to use it, but in tandem with a Jarvan, absolutely fantastic. Layer a bit of an equalizer there on top, and you have a perfect team fight. As Condi is getting pretty wrecked by this Baron, but he's going to just eat some fruit and it will be okay. Taking the gangplank principle, but Xiaohu stepping up to this brush. If he has seen xiye now, who is definitely hitting him in the face. He comes ace in the hole, blocked up by Ben. But Mlxg caught out. All the ultimates used on him. He's already dead. It's a 4 versus 5. Ben jumps in. Condi also going to fall here. It's a 1-for-1 trade on the jungle. Is equalizer coming out. Hero's entrance hits nothing. Zoning away Mystic. He's still doing that. But Uzi is getting chased out here. He turned it around into xiye, but it's not enough damage. And Letme trying to find his counter. Ben, he got into the Zonians and will find it before falling to Mystic.
A major win from WE, and it all started because A, they had control of the Baron side. But RNG, when the TP came through, you see the Rumble ulti not hitting anybody. So the moment Mlxg gets caught, their one control of how these team fights are set up completely shattered.
The last team fight didn't work out for Team WE, but like you said, back to basics. We're still a pick composition through and through. They just throw out another arrow, like what they catch this time around, and storm through the mid tower.
Well, this series is definitely delivering on the action so far with 22 kills at 27 minutes. These teams really like to fight. They're still ramping up, trying to get to that point once more where they can do the same, but WE pulling the trigger onto this Baron. Yeah, they're gonna back away from this, realizing the Baron definitely still hurts, but 957 is thinking about going on this once more as xiye is gonna find his honey fruit.
They think that they can do this because they have A, vision control of the area, and B, side control with the creeps. Top and bottom are pushing for them, and RNG need to clear that out. You see Xiaohu on the bottom side, but Xiaohu does have his teleport available.
Yeah, it's a smart decision from RNG to put him down bot side for that very reason. It's going to be difficult for WE to start up on that Baron because they're fairly squishy and they're going to take a lot of damage. So if RNG have a state of mind knowing that they're doing this, with the composition that they have, they're going to be able to deal with it.
Wow, that was a great blue trinket. RNG don't have any more. That was their only blue trinket, and WE shred apart this Baron. Mlxg dodging out that arrow. Can he get the seal? No, he cannot. Ben getting dragged in. Ming trying to find this kill. At least a consolation prize, and the rest of WE will abandon their comrades. They'll lose their support, but Condi jumping away finds the blast plant. Mlxg's already used the Cataclysm and cannot get in range of Condi. That's the one kill for the Baron. Pretty good trade to me.
Yep. You lose that blue trinket, WE was able to just burn it so quickly, and they backed away. Sure, there was a bit of a worry on how RNG would be able to play that team fight, but they had no idea what was happening.
And they don't have the extra blue trinket because Xiaohu is running double teleport on the Galio. He wants the yellow trinket so he can be in those side lanes safely and create a pressure point. But then this just goes back to Team WE's clean fundamentals. They knew they could hang around that Baron because they had control of those side lanes. They knew that Xiaohu would go bottom and try to clear it despite having the teleport.
Right now, Dragon has spawned. It will be a Cloud Dragon. So equal opportunities, one of each so far. Xiaohu are going to take it by themselves. There's no contest by RNG. And how could they at this point in time? They do have to play defensive, wait for WE to come to them. But WE definitely have played a higher tempo game so far in this one from what we're typically used to, but we've already said it. They do get those advantages in the early game. They will try and close on you.
And ultimately, it's still kind of the same fundamental style in the 5v5. They're just abusing their pick composition. They denied the Elise pick away from Mlxg. Condi doesn't play the champion a ton. We know it's in his wheelhouse, however. So it's just sit in a bush, vision control, vision deny, throw out the cocoon, throw out the arrow, see what you get.
Yeah, thankfully for RNG, they have a good ability to defend from the push here with the Caitlyn traps. And on top of that, they have the ability to look to flank whenever possible with the Rumble ulti if needed. That being said, 957 is just going to be able to take this tower.
Oh, Condi stepping up, taking a lot of damage from RNG. Heroic entrance comes in, slams right down onto the battlefield, but there's no one there. Ace in the hole blocked up by Ben as well. And Ming was the casualty. He actually fell through the whole scrum of that engage, and RNG may have to sack the mid tower.
Yeah, I want to see, they lost a bit of HP. Condi and Ben fairly low, so they're going to back. That might stop the push that they've initially set up though.
But they did also lose the tower on the bottom side of the map, so it's still already a win for Team WE, and they feel confident enough to continue to siege.
I'm going to make it happen. Ben stepping up, taking a headshot from Uzi.
Oh.
Teleport coming in as well. Mystic tanking his tower. 957 jumping into the back, finds purchase on Uzi. Got the chase coming in, finds the assassinate! xiye has taken out Uzi, and now WE, that is the go button for them to head into this base and slay every member of RNG. They take down a second in the form of Letme, and that is 2 towers, and now they in him.
At first it looked like 957 was making space as xiye, a playmaker that he is, gets the kill. They're looking for the game.
And they're about 5 minutes early, too. This is only 31 minutes into the game. Team WE really ramping it up for game 1.
There's another mini wave flooding into this base. Xiaohu trying to block it up, but they're onto the next turrets. First one goes down. Mlxg jumps in. Big taunt coming in from RNG, but it doesn't matter. The jungle is dead. There's no more damage. One member surviving from RNG, but WE do not care about Xiaohu. They just won the game. Second Nexus turret falls. They kill the Nexus. Game 1 to Team WE.
What a game 1. We thought